Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Operation A5 podcast. I am here today with the boys. It's a smaller group today. Hopefully, it's an episode that will definitely impact your lives. But thank you so much for everybody that's been supporting us on YouTube, on Instagram, liking, sharing, subscribing. We appreciate all the love. And today is going to be a fun one. We have a very special guest.
Yeah, we got my boy Geovannie Valdez in the house. Come on.
Let's go. Coach Gio.
Coach Gio, Reverend Gio. We'll talk about it a little later, but Mariah Carey in the house. This guy can do everything. So
a lot of hats.
A lot of hats, man. He is an extraordinary person. But I know Gio for a long time now. I call him a brother, family, a friend. One of the first people I ever met at church. So I love you, buddy. I'm glad you're here. It's going to be a good night, I think. Gio's got a lot of wisdom in the house. He's got a lot of things that he's accomplished and done. So I'm just very excited.
Yeah,
as you could tell. So thanks for coming on, buddy.
Man, you guys are gassing me up. Man.
That's right.
But it's an honor, man, to be here. When you reached out to me, I said, man, of course, I'll be there. We'll make it happen. And hopefully this is the time that we share here together is impactful. Hopefully people find it fun.
Yeah.
And let's do it.
Yeah. I even told him that we can't pay him yet. So maybe at a later episode.
You know what's funny? I think I had brought it up to you back your birthday dinner this year.
Oh, yeah.
You and I were watching, I don't know what basketball game.
Pacers Knicks.
There you go.
Pacers,
and I think
Knicks.
the Knicks won that night or something happened.
Pacers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's when they beat them.
Yep. That was the game.
That's when they beat them. Yeah. So, and I remember I brought it up to you, like, man, you should, because you started talking to me, I think, about the podcast, like, hey, how's it going there? And I was like, man, we should bring you on.
Yeah.
And then I threw it to Joe. I was like, we need to get with
Yeah,
Gio.
it's my fault you haven't been on for so long.
No,
that's what he's trying to say. You sound like trying to throw it my way. So Gio, why don't we just get started? Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? I know you're a father, you got a wife, you got a business. So just talk a little bit about that. And yeah.
For sure, man. I'll keep it as brief as possible so as not to bore everybody. But born and raised in Miami, 34 years of age, married with a beautiful wife, 2 beautiful kids. Currently, I'm a fitness specialist. I work over in the Brickell area, and we're building a team. We have a huge team now of wellness professionals, and we have the pleasure and the honor of being entrusted by several different athletes, busy professionals, executives in the areas of just improving their performance. Mm-hmm. People think, oh, he's a trainer, he's just in the gym. That's part of what I do. But we also gear our services towards helping people improve their performance overall.
Yeah.
Want them to be better in the business realm, better at home, better in the gym, physically, mentally, spiritually, in all aspects. So that's what I do. As far as my business, I've also written a book, a children's book, which I did this year. I've been born and raised in the church.
Yeah.
Been going to 20 plus years at the same church. That's where Joe and I met, actually.
Right. Yeah.
And I have I don't know why, but they said, hey, man, we could use you on the worship team. I was like, you sure about you want this
That's
guy?
where Mariah came from. That boy can sing.
You guys could have, this is funny because that's the reason you say that's because of my wife.
That's
my wife,
right, yeah.
My wife, she said, oh, look at Mariah. But I'm like, you couldn't use a male singer?
Yeah.
Why Mariah? But
give me some Michael or something.
It's funny because on Sundays in the mornings when I, because, you got to warm up your voice and all that. Yeah. I'm doing all these, vocal exercises, and I have a straw. You actually saw it in my car now. I had like a little straw.
Yeah.
Because I use it to speak as well as like these little exercises and things. So that's where that came from. Because she's like, oh, you think you're, But I do that as well, man. And I've been blessed to be in a lot of different spaces.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say, hey, like, you can't do so many things. You have to focus on one thing. And there's seasons where I've been able to focus on one thing, but for the most part in my life, God has used me in different seasons to do different things. Like, I'm always ministering to people. This season of my life, I'm ministering to people through their wellness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's just where I'm at right now. And that's why you said Coach Geo, because that's what it is on Instagram, and that's how people really refer to me as, because I'm coaching people through life. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about your business then. What inspired you? Because I know since I met you, you've been working out, you've been doing your personal trainer. But what kind of inspired you to kind of get into the total fitness, or total, what's the word you use? Total
wellness.
There you go. Total wellness. Yeah.
For sure, man. So I love basketball.
Yeah.
That was my boo. Like growing up, I wanted to, I'm sure you guys can relate. Back in '96, Space Jam comes out.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, those Jordans, like that's when I fell in love with the game. And I said, you know what? I want to do that.
Yeah.
So my whole life, it was just like, okay, what do I have to do to get on the court and play in the NBA? So luckily, I played in high school. I was a team captain there. I had a few collegiate offers, but none that really, I wanted to stay home.
Yeah.
Right. So I ended up trying to walk on where I went to college, got cut, and I kind of gave up on that dream for a bit. Mm-hmm. Then, I said, you know what, let me try this again. So I really started training my body the right way.
Yeah.
Whereas before that, I really wasn't putting my body in the right, I was just kind of doing whatever the coaches said. Hey, run. All right, cool. I was just running.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But then I was like, you know what? I've always had these little tic-tac injuries. I'm always spraining my ankle. I'm always hurting my shoulder, my back. I want to put myself in the position to succeed. So for 2 years, I trained extremely hard. And I had the opportunity to try out for now it's called the G League. Back then it was the D League, which is like the minor leagues of the NBA. And my first year, 2012, man, I was balling.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, there was a guy 6'10" on a fast break. And there was nobody was going to get him. And I said, you know what? Let me go get this guy. And I'm only 6'2".
Right.
Back then I was probably $190. I'm 215 these days. So I'm booking it, right?
Yeah.
And I go and I glassed him. I blocked the shot.
Yeah.
And that was probably the best feeling I've ever had on the basketball court.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, for sure I'm going to make this team, or at least get invited to training camp.
Sure.
Yeah.
I got cut right before training camp. And I was demoralized.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, I'm gonna work harder. And I'll never forget, I was invited by the coach the year prior that was there. He sent me a long text message. I even saved it. Hey, we'd love to have you. We love the hustle. We love your attitude.
Right.
Come back. So I was training. I was at the top of my game. I was about 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
Oh man, that prime right there.
Close to it.
Close to it. Yeah.
So I'm training real hard the day before. And I felt kind of weird about it. I was like, maybe I should rest. The day before, I go for some open runs with some buddies of mine. I go up, I do a layup, and I land on someone's ankle. I tore a ligament in the ankle. I was in a walking boot for 2 months.
Wow.
What did I do? I still went to the tryout. And by the grace of God, I got through it, but I wasn't nowhere near the player that I should have been.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got, cut again. I kind of gave up on the dream again. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try this again, but I want to make sure that I'm knowledgeable enough so that not only does this not ever happen to me again, but to other people. Now, we know injuries are not preventable, but we can kind of mitigate, right? Like instead of tearing a ligament, maybe I just sprained the ankle slightly.
Right.
Instead of tearing my ACL, maybe I just have some pain.
Yeah.
So I got in the books, I studied, and I said, you know what? I want to work with athletes, busy people that don't really prioritize and do things the proper way to do my best to help them. I know it's a long-winded way of saying it, but that's what I was born out of.
Okay. Yeah.
Really just, hey, I want to get my body to a place where I need to be to perform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to do the same for other people.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Do you feel like what you do, because we always talk about ministry, and especially being at church, everybody talks about, being on stage is ministry, or if I work for the church, that's my ministry. Do you feel like what you do is your ministry and your calling, what you're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, but I'm not everybody's a minister.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody has influence.
Yeah.
Right.
In a day and age where influencers is a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like social media, you're an influencer.
Yeah.
We all have influence. No matter if you're a teacher, you have influence. If you're at a plant, you have influence. No matter where you work, what you do, the career and the gifts and the abilities that you have, you are ministering to people.
Yeah.
Now, what you minister, that's totally different, right?
Right.
You have the capacity to minister in whatever space God has allowed you to serve people at.
Yeah.
People think of, oh, they're on the platform, they're a pastor, they're a singer, they're this or that. their ministry. No, we're all ministers.
Yeah.
There's just some that God has called to pastor and shepherd people.
Yeah.
In this season of my life, I'm ministering to people through wellness, through movement,
Yeah.
through mindset. Hey, like, you might not get in your Bible, but I'm going to give you Bible without you even realizing it.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's been people throughout the years, I've been doing this for 12 years now. Hey, I see that you go to church. Can I go? Yeah, come.
Yeah.
I don't even have to invite them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Some people I do.
Yeah.
You know, some people, we're not there yet. You know, some people don't believe in it, but they're still going to feel God. They're going to see God through my example.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I'm ministering to people in what I'm doing now.
Yeah. I love that because I was watching something the other day and it was, talking about that topic exactly. And it was like, why do we discredit, 90% of people's lives, right? Like, let's say, even if I am a pastor, I'm not doing that all the time, right? I'm not pastoring people all the time. I'm a father. Might have businesses. Like, there's so much to my life, and we're saying that only 10% of that matters. Like, that's insane to me, And that's what the guy was saying is like, that's an insane thought where only 10% of your lives matter, and that's only if you're on stage, right? It's an insane way to look at it. That 100% of our life matters, right? Like 100% of what we do matters, and 100% of our influence, we influence somebody every day, either positively or negatively. Like when I go to the store, right, and I talk to the server or whatever nicely, I'm positively influencing somebody, right?
Yeah.
Or I can negatively influence them and tell them how like terrible of a day I'm having. You're gonna have a bad day too, right? Or I could be like, you know what? You look like you're having a bad day. Let me say, hey, I noticed you're doing a great job today. You're working hard. That's ministering to people too, right?
Yeah.
So I love that, because I believe that wholeheartedly, and I don't want to. I feel like people get so discouraged or so focused on it. And let me tell you, I honor pastors and what they do in ministry 100%. And I never want to take away from that because there is a calling for that, and there's a special place for people like that. Like, but it's so sad when we only put like that little part is like, this is ministry. Like we minister all the time, man,
There's some people that are called to that Levitical priesthood of ministry in the sense of, hey, I'm leading people to Jesus.
Yeah.
In that sense, like I'm going to preach, I'm going to teach, I'm going to lead you into worship. But there's the other component of that, of ministry, like what we were talking about before.
Yeah.
It doesn't minimize either or. It's just, we just have to be more open-minded to know that, yeah, man, I'm not qualified in the sense that I don't have a degree in ministerial leadership.
Right.
But God has qualified me to reach out to his people.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all it is.
My mom, she's a pastor, but I think, and she, for 20, 30 years, she was a hairstylist working from home. I think half of her salvations that she's brought have been from that chair in her salon, because she's just doing ladies' hair and she's just talking about God. And a lot of those women now are Christians, that I grew up as a kid, because my mom has like really long time committed clients. A lot of them, man, are now just believers in Jesus because my mom just talked to them about Christ while they were getting their hair done. And then I also remember like Javi and Edgar.
I was just about to say, we have so many barbers at church.
Many barbers at church.
and those guys are like ministers 100%.
Yeah.
You lock them in a chair and you got...
And half of their barbershop either goes to church or half of their clients show up to church.
Yeah.
In the Bible, we like, dude, so the people that we talk about in the Bible, none of them were pastors.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The disciples, dude, they were fishermen and
they were regular dudes.
Regular dudes. Why? Because they're relatable. So it's easier to talk to them. It's not like, oh, they're holier than thou.
Right.
I can't talk to you.
Right.
Come on, man. I don't know why we put people in boxes.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh, he works for UPS.
Right.
So
Yeah.
some of the most profound words that I have received in my life didn't come from pastors.
Yeah.
And not to minimize pastors, because I love my pastor.
Yeah.
I will jump in front of a car for my pastor. I'm indebted to my pastor.
Yeah.
Right.
But sometimes there's people that have spoken into me that was like, wow, like I was not expecting that.
Right.
Yeah.
And God can use anybody, dude.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah. I guess we could go into the topic I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, go.
Yeah. Okay. So you talked a little bit about trials that you had to go through, in basketball.
Yeah.
I know that, and you're more than an overcomer, but bro, you have overcome a lot in your life. I think you've had a lot of trials in your life. I feel like this room both of us have been through some stuff.
Yeah.
The last 2 years of my life has been very difficult for anybody that knows me. For whatever reason, it was difficult. I'm glad I went through it though.
Yeah.
I think I've come on the other side of this a different person. But I just want to talk about that. Like, some of the trials, and maybe you want to divulge some of those things that you've been through. But even if not, like, what is the drive? What is it that the force that makes you want to get over, right? Because some people don't get over some of the trials, right? Like you were talking about basketball. Some people would have gave up at the first time, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what's the drive? What is it in you? Maybe what's an encouraging something to somebody like, hey, you can do this, and this is why you need to do this, or whatever.
Man, there's so many reasons why I am that way.
Yeah.
First off, I was born like that. Like, I'm a competitor.
Yeah. God put that in you.
That's been in me. Dude, we play dominoes.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Like, I think I'm the best.
I'm gonna put you up against my grandpa,
bro.
He don't want this smoke. He don't want this smoke.
Before you continue on, listen. So every year at Metro we played Turkey Bowl, right? The flag football,
yes.
bro. Gio is a healed and saved man, but let me tell you, in those football games, not so healed or saved. Okay, Gio's the legit. Okay, because we used to play youth against the young bucks against the old guys, and bro, we would get in a fight every year, bro, because it was just too aggressive. It's almost like we shouldn't be doing this anymore. Like, so
with flag football,
yeah, but sometimes tackle football. Because those old guys,
they would always hit me, and that's how the fights.
They get upset, bro.
Yeah.
The old guys, and I'm talking about like people we know close to us. They get up.
They pray for us,
bro. These are people's dads, like some of our friends' dads. All right, so like these guys, like they just don't know that this is a game, right? And then you run by them, so they get upset, right? Because you're fast, and then you catch the ball and then like try to hit you. So I will
before the ball gets there.
Yeah. I'm trying not to mention the moment that happened that one time, but it's been insane a couple times. So, but Gio is a competitor, and I think God put that in you for a reason. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't. At the end of the day, I do not like to hear the word no when it comes to Gio. You cannot do this, right? Like you cannot accomplish this, or this is the trophy. I will do whatever I need to do to attain it. So that I'm a very competitive person in that space. So that's just been within me. But I've also seen it. I've seen so many examples of it. I've seen my mother at 16 years old having to raise me, having 3 kids by the age of 26, sacrificing. I've seen my dad wake up at 4 a.m. to go work and then come home late at night. Yeah. And the sacrifices that they've done. To me, that was all normal. Mm-hmm. So now when I wake up at 4 a.m, it's normal to me. Yeah. People say, Gio, how do you do that? That's all I've ever known. That's good. Is to hustle. Yeah. To me, that's normal. Yeah. The Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. Yeah. Yeah. I got to work. Right. Yeah. So that's part of it. And then the Bible says it. Again, you don't work, you don't eat. But also, can't remember the verse right now. But basically, when you go through hardships, you're basically going to come out on the other side. Yeah. So if the Bible says it, this is just an example of me getting to the other side. Yeah. So that I can show other people, hey, look, like we tie our shoes the same way. Like, so you could do it too. Yeah. So that's it's a lot of things, Yeah.
No, that's good. You bring up something that is true to me too. Like I think about my dad, and how hard he worked for our family. And I always remember him saying, like, I've done everything I can do to raise you guys, but I'm proud to be the father that I am, but my hope in life is that you're better a father than me, And that's really been my push is that, I want to be a better husband than my dad was, a better father. And, now having kids, I mean, there's a huge drive, right? Like, I don't want my kids to deal with stuff I dealt with, I want them to, I'm okay, and it's so like triggering, but I'm okay with them being privileged, right? Like they're privileged in the Lord, right? Mm-hmm. But also privileged because dad worked hard, mom and dad worked hard to get where you're at, you're still going to work hard, right? But you don't have to maybe go through, like so many people hate LeBron because of what he was able to accomplish for his son. But how many people would want to do that for their son?
In a heartbeat.
Right.
So many people, right? And I'm not a LeBron fan ever since he left the Heat.
Traitor.
Traitor. But I mean, what did we think he was going to do? He did it to Cleveland. So, but like, how many fathers would love to do that for their kids? You know,
Yeah.
of course you would want to do that. I mean, any other business in the world does that, right? Where if you have the opportunity, you're going to do that. So, for me, that's a driving force. Is, you know, I really want to set my kids up. I want them to live a good life. You know, like my dad worked hard and never owned a house. You know, and so when I bought the house, that was the most important thing for me in the world. Like, it was just such a big moment. You know, and then there's the weight of carrying. You know, and I know we all carry this at church, right? The leadership we carry. There are so many people that look at us, whether we think we are or not. Because I'm always like, nobody's paying attention to me. Yeah. And Rene's like, bro, everybody follows everything you do, right? Like, and I try to say the same thing to him, right? Yeah. And I know that's true for you too. It's just, there's a weight that we carry, and there's so many people looking at us. And that's why, really, I think this last 2 years for me personally, I was like, there's so many people that respond to me, look after me, and I'm messing up right now. And Pastor Matt said something that really shook me, is he was like, people will only grow to the capacity of their leadership, right? So if their leader's capacity here, they're only going to grow to here. And so I'm like, man, all those people that follow me, I'm holding them back right now. Like, I took that as something on me, you know? In a good way. You know, you could take it a bad way, but I took it as a good way. Like, I want to grow. So that's kind of been my driving force the last, 2 years. And I know we've walked through this together a little bit. But I think there's a lot. I know you've been through a lot, buddy. And you're a rock star, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, there's always going to be challenges in life. Just because my challenges might seem to some people as big, they might seem small to others.
That's good.
My mountain is my mountain.
Yeah.
Right.
We all have a mountain. My wife and I, we joke, we're like, wow, you remember when we first got engaged and we were looking at different places to live, and we're like, oh my God, how are we going to come up with the money? And now I'm like, man, I wish we can pay that rent that we had back then. Because you just trade up, and there's always going to be trials and tribulations, but through that, you're going to build persistence. It's biblical. Like, it's going to happen. There's peaks and there's valleys, and I'm going to enjoy the heck out of those valleys. The peaks. And then just endure the valleys. That's all there is.
I know the Bible says in Isaiah, I don't know what chapter it is, but I know it says that he refines us in the furnace of suffering. And I remember I hung on to that verse when I was going through, certain things when I first came back to the Lord. And every once in a while, he reminded me of that whenever, stuff starts getting tough and, things aren't going the way that you would expect. And there's always a lesson to learn in the valley, So I know you messed up when you said, enjoy the heck out of those valleys. But I think in a way we should, right? Like, you should enjoy the valley because just like in, the Bible also says that the Lord is my shepherd, and he walks us through those valleys and all that stuff. So enjoy that time, because I think it's in those trials and tribulations that our intimacy with him grows to a level that it probably won't grow when you're at the peak, right? And then when you are at that peak, you can't stay up there forever. You always got to come back down. Like, people can't chill up at the mountain because you just can't. There's times like I mentioned my wife is my best friend, dude. Like, that's my homie, and it just so happens that she's fine too. So
shout out to Susie.
But sometimes when we were younger and just starting off, it's like, hey, look, like, I used to tell her, baby, look, I don't have I don't have a lot of money, but like, we can go to this place, we can go get from this menu, go here, and then now looking
2
back,
for $20 at Chili's.
Chili's, and then there's another place that you got like the appetizer and then this and that, and then it's like, we're so ready for the next. But we also got to enjoy that. You're like, man, like, that was a good time. It was such a good time. And sometimes we get so focused on, I want to move, I want to go.
I want to get out of here.
Have a lobster dinner. I want to get out of this. I want to have this house, and I want to enjoy the humble beginnings. There's something sweet about that. And sometimes, we could lose sight of that.
man, I miss spending less than $100 going out to eat.
Dude.
Bro, it's like every time it's over $100. I would go back for those $2. Those
and you guys
2 for
also
20
have
meals.
kids. So.
Yeah, no, everywhere we go, bro.
And then you know what gets me? Because okay, one thing is, all right, whatever. We spend $100 on a meal or $200 a meal, fine.
Yeah.
But eat your food.
Oh, my gosh.
And then when we get there's leftovers, right? They don't touch anything. And we get home, I'm hungry, but they won't eat the leftovers.
Right. They want whatever.
Don't get me started, bro. I just had the conversation on the way over here.
I'm gonna throw hands with my
Zoe,
kids.
Bro. It's like you didn't really want that food, but if you don't buy the food, then you're a bad father.
You're a bad father.
Look how terrible of a dad.
Child services, you're going.
DCF.
Dude.
By the way, I love this conversation. It's very flowing.
Yeah.
For me, it's like fun, and then also we go deep. I love it. For you, right? Like, what are some things, or maybe some tools, I guess, you've been able to use, or I don't know. What are some things that you've been able to do to maybe get out of a rut, or in a healthy way? Because a lot of times I think, and I'll attest to myself, the last 2 years I've done some unhealthy things in the season, whether it's food or addictions or whatever, right? So what are some healthy things maybe you can encourage people with as you coach people in their wellness to maybe go through these trials? Because everybody's going to go through a time, right? And I'm so grateful I have gone through those times, but they're not easy. So what are maybe some things, some positive things, or some tools that you've done?
Yeah, so my bad. Whenever I talk about this, it hits me hard. Earlier this year, my whole life, I thought, I think I'm doing things right. I haven't always been perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm my default setting is when I feel emotion, just keep it in. Mm-hmm. My parents, I love my parents. They're the best parents. But whenever we had to talk about something, it was just like we didn't address it right then and there at that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we've all gotten better at it. Like if there's something, we'll talk about it, but it's taken years for that.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. When I like to be chill, you know me, like I'm real chill.
Yeah.
And when I start to get up, if it's not because the only time that I can get up there and it'd be okay is on a basketball court,
right?
Yeah.
Or on a sport, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
But when we're around people and we're in a regular day-to-day venue, let's say, I shut down. And if I'm dealing with something in my heart, I don't talk to people about it. Mm-hmm. If I'm upset about something, I just keep it in, and then it'll stay in there, and then one day I'll blow up. Yeah. Earlier this year, I was experiencing a lot of pain in my body. Mm-hmm. I was really tired. I was sluggish. I was like, this ain't normal, man. Like I'm Coach Gio. Like what's going on? Like I know I'm about to be 34, but like
yeah.
And then I started having pain. I go see my doctor, and it turns out I had testicular cancer.
Wow.
I had surgery. They didn't know the severity of it. At first, they thought it was very serious. So that kind of freaked me out because I'm like, man, like I need to be out here for these kids.
Yeah.
They need me. My wife needs me.
Yeah.
So it was a really tough 2-3 weeks. And then after my surgery, another 2 to 3 weeks before I got my results. And I had to really let go and open up to people. Because people really didn't know. A lot of people didn't know because I didn't want to. My whole thing was I don't want to burden people. I'm gonna be fine. I'm straight. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's just always been my way.
Right.
Yeah.
But that way has been eating me up from the inside, and then it leads to behaviors that I cannot explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I figured out, it's because I have all this pent up emotion.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to outlets that I shouldn't go to. So, I was on my back after surgery, and there was a point in time, and I've shared this on other platforms, where I was just open with God, and I kind of cussed him out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I cussed him out.
Got it real.
I said, God, like, I'm healthy.
Yeah.
I help people. Like, this is what I do. Why? And he just, I didn't hear a word. I didn't hear audibly, but I felt in my spirit weight. Mm-hmm. And I'm on my back. I can't do nothing. Like, it's go to the bathroom. I needed my father-in-law because I stayed with them to take me to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And whatever, man. I said, okay, I'll wait. Now, not wait in the sense that I'm just gonna like chill.
Right.
I was praying. I was,
Yeah.
intercession, all that kind of stuff. And in that waiting, I was able to write the children's book because my whole thing was, if I'm gonna go, I want to leave a legacy to the next generation. And that's what my book is about.
Yeah.
Teaching them good qualities, teaching them good behavior, characteristics, all of that.
Yeah.
Luckily, when I got my results back, it was cancer, but it was not the kind of cancer that they initially thought it was. And I didn't even need to do chemo, none of that.
Wow. Yeah.
I had to do several, tests to make sure it hadn't spread, but I was fine. And, now I speak to somebody on the regular. I'm not, I don't need to speak to someone every week, but, I'm more open with my wife. I'm more open with my friends, with my family.
Yeah.
Which is hard because like I don't want to cry in front of people. I want to be a thug, but
Kind of thug it out.
Ever since that situation and since my kids were born, I've been a little bit more soft in that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being soft.
Yeah.
In the right place.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would say to be open with people that you're comfortable with.
So good.
Get to the place where you can ask God, like, I have something inside of me that's eating me away. Even if it's something so simple as like, why am I upset about this?
Yeah.
Right.
Or why am I thinking these thoughts?
Right.
Why can't I share them with someone?
Yeah.
Right.
Something wrong with me, and then being able to have the courage to speak to someone or have the thought of, maybe I need to see somebody or talk to my spouse about this. So I would say when I was going through these trials earlier this year, that was one of the lessons that I learned was, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're strong. I get it. But you need people to help lift you up.
Yeah.
Right.
You need people to be like the Aaron was to Moses.
Right.
When his hands got, you know what I mean? You need somebody to come and help you. So.
Yeah. That's so good. It's funny because we did a thing at church the other day and the Bible verse came up, was 2 Timothy. And it says, God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but of power, And I think it's his power, right? Not our own power, right? Because we have the spirit of fear. He didn't give it to us, but we have it, right? But what he gives us is power, right? And I think so many times, especially as men, right? We think we can do this on our own. I know for the last 2 years, I thought I could deal with this stuff on my own, and it was a spiral down, down, down. And so I realized that my group of friends was getting smaller. Like the people were still around me, but the people that were agreeing with me was getting smaller and smaller until I was the last person left. And then I'm like, there's something off here, So I had to take it to God first. But I also went and got a therapist. I started talking to a therapist about my issues and really understand how my mind works and all that. And I promise you, I'm the last person that would have thought I would have gone to a therapist. I promise, I'm one of those guys that say, hey, yeah, if you need it, go do it. But I wasn't going to go do it. You know what I'm saying? Do what I say, not what I do, But in that, it was just opening up and understanding why my mind was working like that. But also now I need to use this for other people and talk to other people about it. And honestly, as I'm talking to other people, helping them, it helps me every time. It reminds me every time. And it's so refreshing, and there's something about us as humans where when we have an issue that we're going through, we want to keep it in, and there's a spiritual side of that where I believe the enemy wants to keep us in isolation, and we'll tell you this is the safe way to go. We don't want to burden anybody, right? But I would take it on. I would love to hear those things, right? That's the kind of friend I want to be. But the enemy would tell you, hey, you don't want to bother them with that, right? Or whatever. And I think he just tricks us into isolation, Yeah. But when we reveal it and we confess it to people and we talk to people about stuff, there's a release and a freedom in that. And I really believe the last couple months I've been moving in that myself because I just been telling everybody. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm going through, and right now it's rough today. Hey, I'm going through it today, or I'm struggling this today, and there's a freedom in that, I believe, because isolation feels good, right? Even having people around you that want to be angry with you or whatever, But thank God for good wives, right?
Yeah.
Because I know all of our wives won't let us stay in it. Yeah, for me, that's been important. It's just what you said is like opening up, telling people, getting people in my corner. And yeah, I'm proud of you, man. Love you.
Man, thank you for your vulnerability,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
That was amazing. You know, and to see you come out on the other side is powerful. And because you said something that when you weren't saying things, you felt like you were acting out and going to things that you shouldn't, right? And Tim Ross, he says that whatever doesn't come up and out of your mouth in words will come up and out of your body through actions. And I also attest to that because my dad passed when I was 16. And I was reflecting on it the other day. I was like, man, I didn't get healed of that loss and that trauma of losing him until I was 25. I'm 29 now. So I've been back with the Lord for 4 years now. Because I walked away from him when that happened. When my dad passed away, I was like, F church, F God, F all y'all. What has this ever done for me except cause me pain? So I left. And then, reflecting on that the other day, I was like, man, it took that long to get healed from it, to really, because just like Joe, I was like, I never thought I would have gone to therapy. And I did a whole year of therapy. I was committed to it. I told God, I'm like, I want to do this year and I want to come out of this different, man. I don't want to keep dealing with this crap. I had a lot of anger issues. I would sleep around with random girls that I could care less about and hurting them in the process because I'm just there to get mine, and use them, and those are things I've had to repent for and ask for forgiveness. And it wasn't until I realized, like, man, it's true. Like, just because I never opened up to anybody, I never opened up to my family, to my friends because of that, because I don't want to bother people, burden people, or at least what the devil used to tell me was, they already know. What are you going to tell them? Yeah. They know what you're going through. What are they going to do for you? Yeah. So it's like, what's the point of me bringing it up, beating a dead horse, right, in your head? But there's power in confession. Yeah. There's power in confession. And I think confession doesn't have to just be sins, because, I made a mistake and I got to go tell somebody. No, confession is also that, like, dude, I'm going through it. Like, I'm thinking about XYZ because, this happened to me today, or dude, my dad passed and I've never gotten to really speak to anybody about it. Or man, I went through cancer and I never really spoke to anybody about it. But there's power in confession. And like you said, Joe, it's like a weight gets lifted off, and the word is clear that when you confess to your brothers, the prayers of the righteous can heal you and they'll lift you up. And it's just, I don't know. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing when you get to, have a good corner around you. And I said I think it was the last time we recorded, I had said that your corner, right, or your community and your wise counsel, right, because the Bible says there's a safety and multitude of counsel, can only keep you as safe, and that counsel can only keep you as wise and protected at the level that you are vulnerable with them. Because if you're not vulnerable with them, that counsel's no good for you.
Yeah, my therapist said that. He's like, listen, I'm only going to fix what you tell me. So, and it's true. That's until you tell me everything, we're not going to go anywhere. Yeah. So it's true. Like the people in your corner, it's only, they only can help. I can only help. People can only get involved as much as they know, So there's a level that God gives of discernment to people, right, in your life. But still, even in that, I think there's a part that God wants you to confess or tell people stuff.
Yeah, 1,000%. There's times where like the Holy Spirit, I always say Holy Spirit sometimes snitches on you. Yeah. And people will be like, hey, is this happening? And you're like, how do you know? Right. I mean, you saw last night.
Yeah. Bro, we were prophesying over people. Pastor, we're going to prophesy over people. And there was some crazy stuff that, to the T, that was prophesied over him that he was going through. And we're like, whoa.
We were all our pastor was like,
God snitched on you, bro.
Yeah, big time.
He told in front of everybody. No, nothing bad.
It's not any secret sin. It's just a situation in life right now.
Yeah, but it was just like, whoa.
That's also part of the reason. And this is something that I've heard from people, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't say anything because I didn't want it to become like chisme, right?
Yeah,
I didn't want
right.
I didn't want it to become something that was gossip. Well, what I told this person was, if that was your thought process, then maybe you need better friends.
Right.
Because if your fear is that person is going to tell somebody then maybe you
You're
need
not
someone
telling
to
the right
adjust it,
corner.
You're not telling
right?
the right person.
You're not telling the right person.
You have to reevaluate your corner.
Wow, that's so good.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let's talk about that then.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the avenue I wanted to go down is, how important is having. So, like, I think our wives are testament to this. They're super important in our lives. I mean, I know all of our wives are not afraid to tell us like it is and put in us our place when they need to.
Absolutely.
They are definitely the neck, right? My wife tells me all the time, "You are the head, but I am the neck moving you around, boy." Okay, that's right.
A little sass.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they're important 100%. But how important are the men in your life, like the boys, right? Like the people that can hold you accountable. Like Rene knows I love him. He's one of my good friends. I call him family. He's like a son to me and a brother to me and all those things. But he knows that I have you guys, like the grupito, right? Like the originals, right? So like how important are those groups of people in life,
Dude, there's no it's priceless.
Yeah.
First off, what I like about the men in my life is they're not needy.
Yeah.
What I mean, but I don't do well with needy.
Yeah.
I don't do well
That's
with
important.
needy.
Yeah.
I don't do well with. That's why I married the wife that I have, because she's not like that.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, I don't have to send my guys a text every day, every week.
Yeah.
But when we see each other, it's like, bro, it's like how we left off.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. And I'm calling myself out, because when there's a need, it's like, man, like I haven't reached out in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't want it to get to that point.
Yeah.
But the importance of having that
Yeah.
is like, man, again, it's priceless, because the thing is that there's going to be moments in life where you need somebody to lean on.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And it's not like, or ever has been, where it's like transactional.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like, hey, I lent him money this time, so I'm expecting it back. No, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you need people like that, where it's obviously like there's parameters.
Sure.
Right? If you have an agreement, whatever, but it doesn't have to always be transactional.
Yeah.
Correct.
You have to have people in your life where, hey man, I'm just going to go visit you.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're in the hospital, I'm there.
Yeah.
Right.
Like your kid's born. Well, I'm showing up when you're ready, but I'm showing up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that,
Yeah.
because like life is about relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're going to go about it alone, then man, like that life sucks.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to. I haven't met anyone that wants to be alone all the time.
Right.
They might say, "Oh, I need my alone time."
Right.
Yeah, but at a certain point, you're gonna get tired of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
think it was
yeah.
Pastor Matt, right? Last night he said that introversion and extroversion
Right.
isn't about who's the loudest in the room, it's about what energizes you.
Right.
And he was talking about how, he's an introvert. And Pastor Key, she's very much the extrovert.
Right.
But he's like, I love people. I love Sundays, but people drain me.
Right. Yeah.
He finds, he recharges when he goes out to fish. It's just him and his kid, or when he goes out for a run, or when he's just locked in his room for 3 hours, just doing nothing, praying, reading the word. And I think even with that, right, that's where I think causes people to isolate. It's because, I'm an introvert.
Right.
I'm not, and I'm an introvert, but I love being around, the guys. I love doing this. If I was an introvert, I wouldn't be here,
Yeah.
talking up on a podcast, or hanging out with the guys. I wouldn't be at church on Sundays.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's where people kind of confuse that being an introvert and extrovert is, I'm an introvert, I need to isolate myself and hide away from people. And that's not true, not necessarily.
Right. Yeah, I think also like not everything that maybe energizes us or everything that fuels us is always what we need all the time either. Right. Like
Yeah,
I might feel, I might like to sit on the couch all day and do nothing because I like to do that. Right. But that might energize me to get ready for the next day because I've just totally relaxed, not worried about anything, not a thought. Like that's why I love cruises, by the way, because I don't have to worry about anything.
Cruise Joe.
I'm Cruise Joe is my favorite version.
He's got a shirt and everything.
Oh, lots of shirts. Bro.
He's got lots of shirts.
Like you know how I hate like matching and all that. I'll match on a cruise with my wife, whatever she wants to do. Like Cruise Joe's
pictures.
Yeah. Oh, you want to go take a picture? They're taking pictures, babe.
That's what
He's a whole different person on cruises.
Because it's just like I don't have to worry about anything because that's who I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like I don't I need more than that, right? So that might energize me and that might get me going, but I still need to be around people. Like that's why I make it such a point to have people over my house all the time, and I want to be around people because I need that in my life. Yeah. Now, whether it drains me, because it does, right? To be around people to think, and especially when they're over at my house, I'm like, are they having a good time? And, you know, is everything, and I might not look like that, but that's what I'm thinking the whole time, you know? Yeah. But it's so important to have people in your corner and people around you, in my opinion, you know? And I'll tell you, like our relationship, you know, for as long as I can remember, has always been like that, right? Like where we might not always call each other, right? Which I love that too, by the way. I think all of our friends are like that. Like Eddie,
we're a bunch
Danny,
of introverted extroverts.
Yeah.
Or right? No, we're introverts that can become extroverted.
Like when we're together, we're crazy, bro. Like it gets wild sometimes. But just the stuff we've done. But like whatever. I probably shouldn't say that. But we crack on. we crack
classified
on
information.
No, but we like crack on other people. Like we just have a good time, right? And for me, I love that we don't have to be like that all the time. I don't have to call Gio like, Gio, I need to talk to you today. You know, it's been a rough day. Look, we don't always have to be like that. But I think what we have to get above ourselves is that just because it might feel transactional, when you need me, you call me, right? And I think that's for all of us, right? And I think that's for all men in general. Because let me tell you, you've deposited every time, right? Like I always tell Laura, and like, you know, we have lots of friends, but Gio and Susie always show up. Like every event that we have, they're there. Every birthday, every kid, like, and I know we've tried to make the same thing, right? Sometimes it doesn't happen, but I feel like that's who you guys are. You're trying to show up, right? And so when we're in those moments, it's okay. Like, yeah, call me. Like, yeah, you can. It can be like I need to tell you this, and I haven't talked to you in months, right? That's what we need in our lives, because if I wasn't okay with that, then you shouldn't be my friend. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But because we are, yeah, call me, man. I'm the emergency hotline. You know, like call me on my cell phone. You know. But I think it's natural, right? Because we try to be good people, and we don't want to use people either, right? But we have to get a side of that, and I think maybe it's a little therapy session going on right now. I don't know, but like we just have to get a side of that. If we're good friends, people are good friends in your life, good important people. It doesn't matter. Like I want to know. I want to know what you're going through, because I want you to know what I'm going through when I'm going through it. You know, and I know for the last 2 years I haven't been open about stuff I've gone through. You know, so it's so important. And I hope this podcast can encourage men
1,000%
to reach out to men. You know, we need men in our, like I said, our wives are so important. But there is something special about having men in your life, because your wife, and I think we've talked about this before, but it's such a key thing. Our wives can't carry everything that we have, or can't carry everything that we carry.
Yeah, you said that before.
Yeah, and it's so important to know that, yes, I'm going to tell my wife everything. Except for these things, because she doesn't need to carry these things. Like, she doesn't need to know that I'm stressing about the finances. She might know there's financial issues. She might know all those things, but hey, we got it. Yeah. But then I call Gio and like, bro, I don't know how we're going to do this. We got to take out a loan. How do we take out, like, she doesn't need to know all that, because she doesn't need to carry that burden. And that's why men in your life are so important, specifically because I need to be able to call Gio, and he's not going to say, Joe, what'd you do with your finances? What's wrong with you? He's gonna be like, let's work this out together. Yeah. I can help you. And then maybe, you know, hit me on the head later, you know, but get your stuff together.
Also, who else can I vent to when, you know, Tua misses 4 or 5 games?
Oh, Lord, bro. Don't get me started on Tua. You think he's coming back?
He's coming back. I have an inside. He's week 8. He'll be there.
Yeah. I mean, I can see the team doing it. I'm scared for him. I'm really worried about him, you know?
So I'll tell you this, and I know we did a tremendous U-turn.
Yeah, it's okay. I like how this podcast has been working out, though.
Yeah, you guys know Chris Olave from the New Orleans Saints. Yeah. He's had one more concussion than Tua has in the same amount of time. Nobody talks about it.
Wow.
One thing that I've never understood, and I've watched football my entire life. Troy Aikman had 11 concussions.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he talks about he doesn't remember a whole half of a game, a Super Bowl.
You know, Steve Young is another guy. Yep. Now, I'm not saying that that's how things should be.
Right.
Things should not. I love the precautions that they're taking today, for sure. I've had 3 concussions myself.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've there's things that I've noticed that have changed for me.
Sure.
But why is everybody making it such a big deal with Tua? we've had guys that their head dribbled on the ground 3 times
Right.
just last week.
Right.
And they went right back into the game. They were never put on IR. But Tua has to miss 4 games.
Are we talking about
because he's throwing
Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Because Tua's throwing up
He's
gang
throwing
signs.
That's the only reason. Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, fencing doesn't mean with the posturing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's worse than
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't mean that your concussion is more severe because you're doing
Gotcha.
the posture.
I also think about like we're gonna go down this road. Let's go
Mm-hmm.
down it. Like I also think about like boxers or fighters. It happens to them all the time, bro. And I think about like Chuck Liddell. I think
Oh my
he
God,
used to
yeah.
get knocked out all the time, you know, because he was in big time heavyweight fights all the time.
I mean, you see guys like you said, Gio. I see heads dribble on that canvas.
Yeah.
like when they do those nukes from up here and they just land on him,
yeah.
and that guy gets up.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's gonna be a little wobbly for a while,
Yeah.
depending on who just KO'd you.
Is
But-
it right? No.
Right.
I think my opinion is the same treatment Tua's getting, everybody else should.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It shouldn't just be, because his look worse on
Right.
national television.
Right.
He should sit.
Right.
No, like there's other guys that have families.
but it also
too.
got blown up in the media though.
Right.
Like,
But
oh, he should retire. He's
always
gonna
been.
die.
I don't know what it is about him. Since
Yeah,
he's,
yeah.
I don't know if it's because he's a Christian. I don't know if it's because he's Hawaiian. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Samoan. I don't know. But for some reason, he sneezes and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
he's gonna die, and it's like, oh, chill out.
I think at the scale of he is probably one of those people that everybody loves in the league too, you know. But I also think it's the scale that he's been at his whole career. Like he was at Alabama in a championship game and got hurt like big
the
time.
hip thing.
Yeah, and like I think it ripped off right, like from
Something like that.
it was bad.
It was bad. Yeah.
But I just think of the scale of some of the stuff that's happened, and it's noticeable, right? Like, like I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about Josh Allen got hurt, like
And
he
his
was
hand,
knocked out.
His hand went like this and everything.
His own teammate looked over him like, oh crap, you know. But they let him go right back in, you know.
It's weird.
Yeah,
it's weird. The times that
Yeah,
we're living in, but this is something that us Dolphin fans we're cursed. There's have you guys heard of the Tequesta curse? Have you guys heard
no,
of that?
No.
to Cuesta,
You never heard about that?
no.
So the stadium, whatever it's called now, Hard Rock.
Yeah.
Hard Rock.
We've had so many name changes.
Yeah.
It was built on an Tequesta Indian burial
Burial
ground.
ground.
Oh,
So that's why they call it the Tequesta curse.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's why they say that Tampa doesn't get destroyed by hurricanes. It's because it's Tampa is all over
yeah?
ancient Indian burial grounds. These curses.
Hey man, it was just Indigenous Peoples Day reason.
now
Columbus
we
Day.
got to go woke and get the Dolphins out of
Right,
there,
yeah.
Get them out of there.
Gio, real quick, and we can wrap this up after here.
Yeah.
What about them Heat? Go, tell me.
Oh,
We're
man.
gonna talk about the Dolphins. We gotta talk about the Heat, man.
So I have first off, it's not official like that. I can share in the internets, but I'll be covering them this
Okay.
year.
oh, nice.
I can't say with who, but I'll be covering them.
Nice.
So I might be. Hopefully, I get to interview some of those guys. But
if you need an assistant,
I can carry your bag.
I'll carry your bag. Whatever. I'll hold the mic for you. I don't care.
I'll tell you this: when healthy, and I've always said this since the Jimmy Butler era has been around. When healthy, I don't fear anyone in the Eastern Conference.
I mean, we were looking good in this preseason. I know it's preseason.
It's preseason. There's parts that they look bad too. I've never feared anyone in the Eastern Conference since they've been together. This 6-year run,
Yeah.
but they've never been healthy.
Yeah.
I used to work for the organization. I love the organization. I have championship rings. I love it. I'm all for the Heat. I love Jimmy. I love all the guys. But if you have a history of not being healthy for 5 seasons, now running on 6, you got to get guys that are going to be healthy.
Yeah.
I love them. Sometimes most of their injuries have not been
Career ending.
preventable stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you are a team that is playing undersized night in, night out, and you're the hardest working, the whole
culture.
mantra, the
Yeah,
culture.
Yeah.
When you're guarding guys, when you're Bam and you're 6'9", 250, but you're guarding 7-footers, and then the 4-man should be guarding 3s, and that takes a toll on your body. I know because that's what I had to do when I was
Right.
playing ball. I was always guarding guys bigger, and I personally going into this season would have wished that they would have made some moves.
Yeah.
But they did get younger. I love the young guys that they brought in.
Yeah.
Jimmy, he's looked like his leadership has taken another step.
Yeah.
Bam is gonna destroy this year.
Yep.
I like their core four: Hero, Rozier, Jimmy Bam. If they're healthy, by healthy, this is what I qualify as healthy.
Yeah.
Can those four guys give you 60 regular season games? If they can give you at least 60, that's a 50-win team.
Yeah.
All they would need to do is get in the bracket where they avoid Boston in the first 2 rounds, so they can then play them in the conference final.
Yep.
Because they need some momentum.
Yeah.
If they're going to play that juggernaut.
Yeah.
Right.
If they can do that, anything can happen. But it's a lot to ask for a team that has had so many deep playoff runs, that is so undersized.
Right.
Like, I weigh 215. I'd be one of the heaviest players on the team.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's
why I'm with this guy, with the rookie Khalil Ware. I'm like, man, put him. I know he's a rookie, and I know Spo's not huge on starting rookies. He's not big on that. I think Tyler Hero is probably the last one that he was like flirting with that idea. But man, put him at the 5, dude. Put Bam at the 4. That 3-point shot, it's looking sweet. You know, it's getting there. Still needs some improvement, but I would put Bam at the 4, Ware at the 5, and then you have Tyler out there. You have Scary Terry, Jimmy.
I think that just knowing how Spo works, though, there will be later on in the season spurts where that might happen, but he's still very green. He needs to learn the system a little bit more.
Yeah.
He has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that we'll see more in year 2.
Yeah.
Year 2,
for
year
sure.
3.
That's what I'm saying. I know he's not going to start him off.
No.
Anytime soon.
And they have a lot of. They have too many wings.
Yeah.
If they can consolidate that and somehow get a big in there and move some of those, just add some space for that, I think that would be more likely to happen. But I'm excited about this season. I still think they're behind Boston.
Yeah.
I still think, at least in the regular season, there's 3 teams ahead of them. Regular season, in the playoffs, they're a different team.
Yeah.
Regular season, Boston, Philly, New York is clearly ahead of them.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of Orlando. I'm not scared of Cleveland. I'm not scared of Indiana. Those teams in the season, they're going to have similar records to the Heat.
Sure. Yeah.
But once we're in April, let's talk.
Yeah.
It'll be a different story.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well,
thank
you for joining us for our sports talk. This is our sports podcast. The last 10 minutes.
I've been trying to get this into the podcast for a long time, bro. So I'm glad we're here.
We just need the right guys to do it.
I'm glad we're here.
Yeah. All righty. So we start wrapping up.
Yeah, man. I just want to encourage you a little bit. First of all, I love you as family, as a friend. Man, you've always been in my corner since day one. Like I said, I think we bonded a lot, over sports and stuff like that. When you found out I could dance, and I wasn't just an uncoordinated white dude,
There's a little bit of Cuban blood in there.
That's right. There's a little bit. But I think we've had a bond for a long time. I know we've had our hiccups, which I think any good friendship should have.
Yeah.
I feel like
character.
I felt like we get stronger from some of those things that we went through. But man, I trust you with my family, with my life. I love you, man. I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished. You've always been an inspiration to me just to keep on going. Like, you're a hustler. I always say, man, Gio always says, I'll sleep when I'm dead. So.
I could use some sleep though.
So in those moments, I don't want to say I want to live like that, but I'm saying in moments, I'm like, I can do this, I can get through this. But I love you, man. You're family to me. I don't want to cry, but I love you, man. And you're an inspiration to so many people. And don't be upset that your wife calls you Mariah, because you got a beautiful voice, bro. Such a beautiful voice, man.
But Gio, where can they find you, man?
Yeah, man. So on most social media platforms, just at Coach Gio _. My business is called Transfiguration, so www.transfiguration.us. There's so many awesome things that we're launching. A new app that's coming up. You can find my book on Amazon, Noah's New Friends. I'm all over the place, man. YouTube, just type in Gio Valdez and you'll find me. And but yeah, for the most part, Coach Gio.
You got a podcast.
I do. The Merch podcast right now. We're actually going through a little bit of a rebrand.
Yeah.
Because we're going to do some awesome stuff. I can't wait to start that. But we have a few episodes at the Merge MRG podcast. And yeah, man, we're doing that thing too. So
Our social media team's gonna have a busy time tagging
yes.
him and everything.
Oh yeah,
just
we
at
got
Coach
you.
Gio, you'll find.
And by the social media team, he means me.
Rene. I was trying to make it sound bigger than we
follow
were.
each other, so I'll
Yeah.
find everything that
I was trying to make it sound bigger than we were there for a second.
But yeah, hey Gio, thank you so much, my brother,
Of course,
for joining
man.
us,
Thanks for
bro.
having me.
It was an
Appreciate
honor
it.
to have you. But all right, y'all. Until next time, peace.